folks, welcome. My name's Jess. I am a therapist and a scapegoat or former scapegoat from a narcissistic family. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 8 things that we should expect to happen when we estrange from our narcissistic parents. Stay tuned. Hi folks, thanks for being here. So in this video I want to talk about what might happen and the tactics that narcissistic parents can use when we make that really heartbreaking and difficult decision that we need to estrange from them. I'm not saying that we should estrange or we shouldn't. What I'm saying is that at some point, some of us get to the point where we just find the relationships that we're in too damaging, too draining, too harmful, too abusive, too toxic, and we decide that we do need to move on. Knowing what might happen, knowing the types of behaviors and the types of interactions we might expect when or as we're doing this estrangement, or after we've said perhaps that we want to estrange, is really important. It's really important just for us to be kind of forewarned is forearmed. And also, I think what's really interesting about this is that sometimes we're really not sure and we can really question, are our parents narcissistic? Are we doing the right thing? And for me personally, I think it's really, really useful to be able to say, okay, we know what narcissism looks like, and actually there's a kind of a playbook of behaviors that narcissists use. And so almost like this is a bit of a test. If we choose to estrange and then we see a lot of these types of behaviors as a result of what we've done, it can help us kind of solidify in our minds that we are dealing with narcissism. And it gives us more clarity around the situation, and it also may kind of help us settling into the idea of the reason why we did what we had to do. And so the first tactic I have on my list, and by the way there is no particular order of these, is that the parents might try a bit of love bombing, telling us how wonderful we are, how much they love us, how much they appreciate us, really trying to, I'm going to use the word fake, but basically short-term fake a good relationship with us, so that we can potentially somehow be blinded by this and think that, oh, maybe there is some hope, or the relationship can be better and can be different, and it causes us to doubt ourselves and doubt our reasons as to why we want to estrange. And the thing with the love bombing though is that, as I said, it's really short term and it won't last. And I think it's natural sometimes to try that, but when the love bombing stops and then we go back into these old routines and we get back into the really difficult and toxic behaviors, that's when we kind of know, oh, it was just that tactic and nothing's really changed for the long term. The second tactic can be guilt. As we all know, our narcissistic parents, the guilt, I think, is really one of their go-to tactics generally in our interactions with them. That if we were good children, then we would think about the parents, we would appreciate all that they've done for us, yada, yada, yada. It can go on so long and in so many different ways. And so guilt around estranging is a natural and a huge one for a narcissistic parent. How could we possibly leave them? They are so hurt. How can they do the things that perhaps we used to help them out with? They might talk about the duties, family duties of what a child should do, maybe to be around and to look after them in their old age, or for other things that we were expected to do. Basically, the guilt is being used to manipulate us into doing something that they want for them. And being aware of that's what is happening, it's really hard because they do push our buttons. But really, if we are, when we are aware and we are being subjected to a guilt trip, we need to remember that we are uniquely, as adults, we are uniquely responsible for our own emotions. And so if someone is trying to get us to do something to change their emotional state, that's the height of manipulation. And no, that's not okay. So the third one on my list can be the revenge silent treatment. And this one, it gives me a bit of a kick. I just think it's honestly just shows how ridiculous a narcissist can be, how illogical, and just how childish they can be. I think one of the biggest ironies of narcissism is that the narcissist thinks they are so special and so different, and yet ultimately they are so unoriginal. And often, very often, a narcissist will use someone else's tactic. They'll take something that they said or something that they did, and then they'll wrap it up and do it back to us. It's really, really bizarre. And so this is something that they can do with estrangement. I think, well, you cut me off, which is a huge wound for a narcissist, being cut off. They lose that supply, they lose that person in their life who makes them feel better, especially a parent. So if we cut them off, we do sadly cause them a lot of pain. And so what their reaction is then, if you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you back. And so they try and do this revenge, well then I'm not talking to you. The ridiculousness of it, of course, is that we've already cut them off, and that's what we want, and that's what we've decided, that actually we don't want this relationship. And it's kind of like, what is it, closing the door after the horse has bolted, closing the barn door. Like, we've already gone, you can cut me off if you like, but I've already left. And so it's actually, I think it's ridiculous and also really sad, and it just shows that they're just really missing that mature level of thought and an ability to be able to interact on an adult level. So I think I'm on number 5 now. Anger and rage. It's again a very common narcissistic tactic, especially from our parents. We probably learned from a young age that we don't want to provoke any anger because it really wasn't safe for us as children. So this one can be very hard because it can trigger a lot of difficult memories, and there can be a lot of fear around the rage that we could get from a narcissistic parent. So I think really being aware that it is likely to happen, it may not, but it is likely that they're going to become angry. And I think from my perspective, we just need to batten down the hatches and ride out the storm. We know it's going to happen. We know it's going to be unpleasant. And if we can try and use it as, again, kind of proof that we have made the right decision, but really this is one that we just have to kind of grin and bear, and eventually the anger will abate. Okay, so for my next reason, and I think my numbering is off, so I obviously can't count to date, but my next reason is denial. The narcissistic parent will deny any responsibility, any wrongdoing, any knowledge of things that have happened in the past that have been wrong, have been difficult, arguments, disagreements, events. They will deny it all. A narcissist has a very, very selective memory, and they do remember things that suit their purpose in the moment. And so they won't remember, and they will not own up, and they will not want to discuss anything bad that has happened in the moment. So we kind of know this. I think we know that they're not going to take any responsibility. And so it can help for us sometimes to write down the reasons and the times and the events of what happened. We don't probably want to share that with the narcissist at the point when we're estranging, because we know that there's no point and they're going to pretend that it didn't happen or try and rewrite the past anyway. But for us, it can be important to have actually like a physical list or something we can refer back to say, yeah, no, I know this happened. I know these things happened, and also I know how that made me feel. And I'm going to stay firm in my decision. Once a narcissistic parent has denied any wrongdoing, then of course they can blame us. So this is our next reason. They will blame us for everything that went wrong, everything that could possibly go wrong in the future. I don't think there's anything that a narcissistic parent can't blame on their child, actually, when I think of it. Interesting thought for the day. If you can comment down below, is there anything that a narcissistic parent cannot blame on their child? Oh, I wonder. So we're going to get blamed. Again, it comes back into that they can't take responsibility, and it will tie into, I think, the reasons that we are estranging in the first place. It's not fun, it's not pleasant, but we really don't want to rise to any of it because it's just another continuation of the pattern and the loop of the dysfunctional relationship. So my 7th tactic, hopefully I'm on number 7, is playing the victim. It's a little bit, it's actually very related to the guilt tripping, but the narcissist can very much play the victim around the estrangement piece. It could be that they were such a wonderful parent and there was such a great relationship and you were so close, and they just don't deserve this to be cut off because it's such a heartbreak. It could also be that they weren't the perfect parent, they had their own problems, but they just did their best, and if only we could be kind and considerate and generous and around understanding their problems. And I think in this point it's really just important to remember that no, we are not blaming our parents for not being perfect. We are not blaming them for certain mistakes that they've made. We are, I think, really blaming some mistakes are big and some mistakes need to be addressed. And I think that's the point. When mistakes are made, we need to be able to talk about them and to be able to work through them. We're not looking at forever holding them responsible for being terrible parents. We just want to be able to have a conversation and say, this isn't okay, this hurts me, it really upset me that time, or it caused me a lot of grief, or it caused me a lot of problems when this happens, or when these types of things happen. We're not trying to character assassinate them or destroy them or anything like that. We're just wanting to be able to address problems, find a better way to manage and move forwards. Unfortunately, as we know, if we got to this point, it's not happening. And so my last tactic that I have seen and experienced is the smear campaign that a narcissist may use against us. And it's basically when all other attempts have failed, when it becomes clear that they're not getting us back and they're not getting this relationship back, they will try and take us down with the other people around us, other family members, other people we may know. They may try to spoil our reputation, they might post things about us online, they might try and talk to our children and force them into taking sides. Hopefully the smear campaign isn't super common. I don't know, I don't want to go into stats, but this is a really vindictive and nasty side to narcissists, so I'm hoping that it doesn't occur for all of these situations, but we do need to be aware sometimes that if we are dealing with a particularly toxic narcissist in our lives, that this might happen. I've got other videos on smear campaigns, so I'm not going to go into that, but what I would say is if we can avoid, keep all of the evidence that we have, don't rise to anything, try to keep as emotionally distant as possible, and really this is where we do learn with all the other people in our lives who are our true friends and who aren't. Because if people are going to believe these lies and this slander about us, then they were never truly safe and our people in the first place. Friends, thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I do find it an honor that you spend some time with me, so thank you so much. And as always, if you like the content, please leave me a little comment. You can like, you can subscribe, you can share for people that you think might find this useful. I offer one-on-one coaching if you need some more support around this, and I have a blog on my website as well. So Please, friends, wherever you are and whatever's happening, take care of yourselves. Please be kind to yourselves and to others. And I will talk to you again very soon.